China is developing a system designed to control everything a person says or does. The alarming thing is, this system looks almost identical to the system foretold in the Bible for the reign of the Antichrist. We'll compare the two systems on today's edition of End of the Age. Well, this is one of those programs that'll sort of make your hair stand on end. I'm sure all of you out there by now are familiar with the mark of the beast. I'll never forget, one day I was in St. Louis, Missouri. I stopped into a Target store to buy something, mince or something, and my total came up to $666. The young lady, about 16 years of age, that was the cashier, I heard her say under her breath, "Mark of the beast." I said, "What did you say?" She sheepishly said, "Oh, nothing." I said, "I was sure I heard you say mark of the beast." She grinned. She knew she was caught, and she said, "I did." I said, "How much do you know about that?" She said, "Not much." I said, "Well, I know quite a bit about that." And we talked for a little bit. However, there was a long line behind me, so I couldn't stay long. Nevertheless, that number, 666, actually, I don't think they will give you that number at the License Bureau. And many other venues, they don't use that number because it is so resisted, it is so notorious, and it's been made so by a prophecy in the Bible. In Revelation chapter number 13, by the way, chapter 13 is totally devoted to the Antichrist and his end time plan. It's actually Satan's plan. The first 8 verses of Revelation 13 are devoted to the one world government prophesied for the near future, along with the ruler of that one world government, the personage called the beast or the Antichrist. Same terms. Then, verse 11 through verse number 15 is devoted to the one world religion and the leader of that coming one world religion called the false prophet. Finally, the last 3 verses, verses 16 through 18, are devoted to the enforcement mechanism that the Antichrist and the false prophet will use in order to force their plan on the nations and the people of the world. Now, this plan is described as every person will be forced to have a mark or a number without which they will be unable to buy or sell. But here's the real catch. In order to get your number validated so you can participate in the economy, you'll have to pledge allegiance to the Antichrist, his one world government, and the one world religion. If you refuse to pledge allegiance, if you don't believe in it, then you'll be cut off and your number will not work. Have you ever used your credit card and the message came up, authentication denied or authentication failed? And there you are. You can't pay for your gasoline or whatever else you want to do because there's something wrong with your credit card. Well, that's very much like what the Bible prophesies for the end time one world government, one world religion. It will be a system of total control. Well, we've read that for many years and thought, how in the world will that work? However, in recent times, we've all become so addicted to these little plastic cards called credit cards. I mean, 80% of all purchases in the United States last year, 80%, were done electronically. And it's much higher than that in other places. In Sweden today, they have a total of 1,600 banks. 900 out of the 1,600 have no money. They're cashless. You cannot deposit money there. You cannot get money there because Sweden has gone almost totally cashless. And that's true with much of the world, especially Europe right now. Well, the Bible prophesies this time when under the reign of the end-time one world government and its leader, the Antichrist, every person will operate basically in a cashless society. You'll have a mark or a number without which you will be unable to buy or sell. Now, this article appeared in the Washington Times recently, and it deals with the social credit scores that have been enacted in the nation of Red China. This was actually December the 9th of 2009. And I'd like to give you a few of the quotes as we move through here. China is developing a new high-tech system of mass surveillance and coercion aimed at suppressing political dissent among its 1.4 billion people, while forcing American and Western businesses to conform to the government's communist policies if they want to operate there. The system that critics call an Orwellian national level control system has been dubbed the social credit system.
About our trip, it was a wonderful experience. We totally enjoyed the time spent with other believers, worshiping and experiencing the places where Christ walked. One of our favorites was being on Mount Moriah, where the Holy of Holies are, the Dome of the Spirit. And the teachings that Brother Baxter did was so enlightening. It was so much to take in. It will take us another month or two to really grasp the full extent of the knowledge we received on this trip. Our tour guide in Israel was fantastic. He was very knowledgeable. I think God chose him just for us. Thanks, Jana. Our lives will never be the same. We will try to do this tour again. Mike and Julie L., Cayman Islands.
Join us May 1st through May 16th, 2020, for a trip to the wonderful land of Israel and the Holy Roman Empire reborn.
We've seen Bible prophecy fulfilled before. From the halls of the United Nations to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Endtime Ministries continues to reveal the Bible prophecy in the news headlines around the world every day. Whether it's through our broadcast or online at our Jerusalem Prophecy College, your gifts enable us to put vital materials in the hands of those who need it most. Because of you, we continue to replace fear with faith in the hearts of Christians around the world. We will continue to see prophecy come to pass at an even swifter pace. We need your support. Your donation of any amount enables us to continue to broadcast and be a voice in the ever-growing censored media. To become a partner or give a one-time gift, visit endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now. That's 800-363-8463. Go online now. Visit endtime.com.
Now, here in the United States, we refer often to our credit score. If you want to borrow some money, buy an automobile, whatever you're wanting to do, they'll check your credit score. And whatever that is determines how good of a rate you get and whether you can actually make the purchase or not. However, that's not what it is in China. In China, it's called the social credit system. And it was set for launch in the coming year of 2020, although recent reports from China now say the rollout could be delayed until 2021. This massive system, and it's massive because China has 1.4 billion people, has been tested in several major Chinese cities and uses millions of surveillance cameras linked to supercomputers containing massive databases. face and voice recognition technology, then identifies and monitors people with the goal of controlling behaviors that range from dissident political activity to jaywalking, ostensibly as part of a financial credit monitoring system similar to those used in the West. Vice President Mike Pence called out the program in a recent speech, warning that China's surveillance state is growing more expansive and intrusive, often with the help of U.S. technology. Now let's pause there just a moment, because it's not only a Chinese problem, but in America, our surveillance state is growing by leaps and bounds. It's something that needs to be checked. Now, it makes so much sense. So the more we know, the more we can follow people, the more we can prevent crime. And yet, in the light of all of this, the freedom goes out the window. And so we've got to be very careful. Now, I want you to hear what's happening in China, because this could happen any place in the world, and some other nations are starting to borrow Chinese technology and actually implement some of these things in their countries as well. Now, by 2020, China's rulers intend to implement this Orwellian system premised on controlling, that keyword control, virtually every facet of human life. The so-called social credit score, Mr. Pence said. In the words of that program's official blueprint, it will allow the trustworthy to roam everywhere under heaven, while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step. So this is going to be something where you either have liberty or you do not, depending on your social credit score. Facial recognition tools are widely used now in China, bolstered by cameras deployed along streets, on buildings, in train stations, in classrooms, and subway lines. With the emergence of next-generation 5G telecommunications technology, the reach of the surveillance networks is only expected to increase. As part of the stepped-up surveillance, the Chinese government announced this month that all who purchase SIM cards for mobile phones must first produce a facial recognition print. So if you're going to get a phone, you're going to have to give your face print. One Chinese national in the country who declined to be identified by name said those who fail the social credit system are called laolai, roughly translated as serial scoundrel or rascal. It is quite an insulting term, the person said. In a totalitarian state, everyone is expected or forced to be a small, useful cog of the society. It happened now and then in human history, and it is happening again now. Another Chinese citizen said social media discussion of the social credit score is being heavily censored in China. Basically, as far as I know, the system connects everything and perhaps controls everything, this person said. You know, under the 5G technology, they have a terminology called Internet of Things. And the plan is for every person, everything, to have an identifier embedded in it. So these massive computers with these incredibly increased screens as a result of 5G technology are going to be able to track every car on Earth, and that's even going to enable the driverless automobile that many of the car makers have been working on for some time. the faster internet speeds. We're talking about speeds 100 times as fast as we presently have. And these speeds are going to be released in 2020. It's happening right now. Now, for example, all my bank cards and payment accounts, my WeChat and other social media accounts, the accounts to buy train and air tickets, my phone number, and even my Face ID are connected to my identity card in China. Outside China, the international variant is known as the corporate social credit system and is already being used by Beijing to coerce foreign businesses that fail to toe China's political line on issues such as Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Tibet. Now, all of you know out there that China has said Taiwan has to be reunited with the mainland. And right now, Hong Kong was supposed to work under its own system of freedom, but China's trying to reel it in and make it an integral part of the mainland. That's the reason the present riots are going on in Hong Kong. Well, this social credit score is definitely a tool in the government's hands. The official National Public Credit Information Center reported last year that a total of 23 million people were, quote, discredited and barred from traveling by air or rail. Another 17.5 million Chinese could not purchase airline tickets, while 5.5 million were barred from buying high-speed train tickets, all due to poor social credit scores. Among those caught up in the social credit scores was Chinese actress Michelle Ye-yuan. She was unable to board a flight last March after information about a recent court case popped up on a computer screen at an airport checkpoint. She was found guilty of defaming her boyfriend's ex-lover and failed to apologize. The ban was lifted after she apologized. So much for freedom of speech. Beijing euphemistically calls the program part of social management, a key element of communist ideology to shape and control society. Now let's pause here a moment. Remember what the prophecy says, given 2,000 years ago, for the times that are just ahead. There's coming a time when every person will have to pledge allegiance to the one world government and will also have to conform to the one world religion, or else they will not be given a number that they can participate in the economy. Now this just written recently, but yet the prophecy was written 2,000 years ago. The similarities are so stark that it almost makes our hair stand on end. Undoubtedly, the conditions are developing right now for the fulfillment of that prophecy. It is coming. Now, in reality, critics say the system is designed to preserve the power of the Communist Party of China, blacklisting and punishing anyone who's spotted by the system engaging in unapproved activities. It marks a high-tech upgrade of traditional measures of control. Now, don't forget, cameras everywhere. I mean, we've got cameras here in America. I've been alarmed by the cameras at every intersection nearly. Most businesses, everybody has them until you're on camera much of the time. The result is privacy out the window and control escalating exponentially. In the past, the party relied on a system called Dongan, or personal file, millions of dossiers of citizens filled with personal information ranging from comments made in high school to remarks made to coworkers. So they're listening to everything. Now, at its core, the system is a tool to control individuals, companies, and other entities' behavior to conform with the policies, directions, and will of the Communist Party of China, said Samantha Hoffman, a China specialist with the Australian Strategic Policy Institute in Canberra. It combines big data analytic techniques with pervasive data collection to achieve that purpose. Now, one more time, let me remind you, the Bible teaches a one world government is coming in the very near future. And that world government, you will have to worship the Antichrist and his one world government. You will have to conform, to bow the knee. That's all this is. The heart of the social credit system is the more than 200 million video cameras that line streets and alleys, all networked to vast stores of personal data sifted by increasingly advanced data mining software. China plans to have as many as 626 million cameras deployed by next year. Low credit scores, whether due to political activity, financial impropriety, or even minor offenses like smoking on a train, employment can result in schooling and travel being blocked or restricted. Jeremy Dahm, a Yale University expert on Chinese law, said that the social credit score is a surveillance apparatus that seeks to incentivize, quote, trustworthy and untrustworthy behavior. It's very different from the work of credit reporting agencies in the U.S. and other free market economies to monitor individual financial activity. One area already in use is a blacklist for those found guilty under China's legal system. But Ms. Hoffman notes that in China, the law is not the same as in democratic states. It is used by the Communist Party to set expectations and communicate intentions. By the party's own definition, the law functions to ensure the party's political security above everything else, she said. Any person who fails to abide by a court judgment gets added to the blacklist and is restricted from buying airplane tickets, train tickets, private school education, entertainment, and other areas. Corporations on the list face limits on access to tightly controlled Chinese industries and also can be required to leap greater regulatory hurdles. Like many other parts of China's surveillance apparatus, it is very frightening, Mr. Dahm said on his blog, China Law Translate. Even as it delivers some safety and security to many Chinese, it is all too clear from watching Xinjiang or other areas of unrest that these systems can be quickly weaponized for harsh control. Earlier this year, the Communist Youth League offered an app called Endtime that gives users a credit score of between 350 and 800. Those with the higher scores may receive preferential treatment, such as school tuition, discounts, or favorable treatment in seeking jobs. But the app is also being used by China's leaders to spy on the political leanings and other activities of the users. Those who post anything critical of the Communist Party will lose points. Points can be gained from reading speeches by Chinese President Xi Jinping, A U.S. Congressional Commission has studied the system and warns the Beijing government wants to control all speech and all writing by deploying the increasingly advanced social management technology. The government earlier this year introduced a mobile application called Study Xi, Strong Country, that requires party and state employees to study daily Mr. Xi's speeches and other ideological writings. Of course, Mr. Xi is the undisputed leader of China at this time. He has been sworn in for the rest of his life. The application also enables digital surveillance because it is linked to users' personal information, and metrics regarding users' performance can be accessed by government offices, schools, and private companies to sanction employees and students who earn too few points, the commission report said. The social credit score is also being integrated into China's system called Smart Cities, wired and internet-linked localities that will further facilitate mass surveillance. China is finding markets abroad for the social credit score in the form of exports of surveillance cameras, command and control centers, facial and license plate recognition technologies, data labs, intelligent fusion capabilities, and portable rapid deployment systems for use by governments in emergencies. In other words, this system is spreading out of China. Turkey's one that's already purchased some of this equipment. So as we see that happening, we have to look at the prophecy of the Bible. Everybody will have to have a mark or a number without which they cannot buy or sell. And they must pledge allegiance to the government according to the prophecy. So is that what's going on in China right now? Is that spreading to Turkey, to Europe? It's obvious that it is. Prophecy being fulfilled.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. This book by Irvin's grandson provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your relationship with God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at Endtime will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Get your book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for Endtime magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. Endtime has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that Endtime magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and lead them in doctor's offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
We will be taking your calls in this half of our program. The number to call to be on the air with me, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. We live in such interesting times right now. I've not yet got the latest report from Israel. When I went on the air, they did not yet have a coalition agreement. It looks like that Israel is going on to elections for the third time in the last 1 year. It will be March the 2nd unless a last-minute change. They have until 4 o'clock Texas time, until midnight Israel time. So we're just a half hour away from their deadline right now. I do not know if there's any chance whatsoever that they will pull out a last-minute deal to actually form a government. I am sure that they are trying. I read earlier today that Netanyahu was moving heaven and earth to try to make this happen. So I'll try to let you know after our next break what the latest news is. Nevertheless, I want to take a little bit of time. First of all, I'm going to be taking your calls. 877-Endtime is the number to call me, 877-363-8463. But let me tell you about something our team here at Endtime Ministries, very special, has put together. They have specials. They're the 8 days of specials for Christmas time. Listen close, because this may be a great thing for you. First of all, the Jerusalem Prophecy College enrollment is normally $59. They've reduced it to $50.15. So if you want to give the first semester enrollment as a Christmas gift, then that will save you some money. In addition to that, you can go to endtime.com for the following deals. Normally $29 for a 2-year subscription to Endtime Magazine. Right now, $24. And then listen up closely. This is what's called the Revelation Special. This includes quite a number of items, quite a large value. The limited edition, final 7 years, certified silver coin. This is a fabulous coin. It's produced by Endtime Ministries, and you'll love to have it. Add to that the book Skin Deep by Linda Sargent. The book Skin Deep deals with the subject of the mark of the beast. And then a DVD called The Miracle called Endtime. Another DVD, ISIS in Bible Prophecy. And then finally, the Understanding the End Time Introduction DVD. The last one, and this is the biggie, Revelation, the Unveiling of Jesus Christ, 10 DVDs plus a beautiful hardback book, nothing like it, just out from Endtime Ministries. Now you get all of this. Normally the Revelation alone is $2.99. However, you get all this for a donation of $3.34. So it's massive. By the way, if you can't remember all that I'm telling you right now, you can go to the Endtime website, endtime.com, and you'll see featured there what I'm telling you. Also, the Understanding the End Time semester, which is really worth taking, normally $149, yours for $100 during this Christmas time. You may want to give that as a Christmas gift. Or we have a lot of downloads of different End Time productions, and these downloads are now 50% off the normal price. And on the website, it'll give you the coupon code of what you can use to get all these things. Now, Book Lovers Special, Revelation, the Unveiling of Jesus Christ. Now, this is the book, the hardback book I've written. And then Move Mountains, which is a compilation by my grandson, Vince Stegall, but it is a compilation of devotions that we do here every morning. And then Skin Deep by Linda Sargent. Those 3 books, normally $69.99, yours for $59.99. Wonderful Christmas presents. And then the Armageddon Collection and Coin. Now this is the limited edition, final 7 years silver coin. We have offered this for a donation of $500. But listen carefully. You get that plus From Here to Armageddon, the Late Lesson DVD series, and then From Here to Armageddon companion workbook, and then the First Step to Armageddon DVD, Seeds to Armageddon DVD, and then a DVD of a special End of the Age broadcast. All of this. Now remember, the coin alone was for a donation of $500. All that I just mentioned to you, $250 donation. So that's a great value. And then finally, the book Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, normally $14.99. That's $10. So if you want to peruse these more slowly after the broadcast today, simply go to endtime.com and walk your way through there. I think this also is on display in our new magazine that just came out. You probably have received it by now. Anyway, these contain many fabulous Christmas gifts. Now, the ultimate Christmas gift is definitely Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. That is the ultimate Christmas gift, because it was written 2,000 years ago, but it has laid dormant for the last 2,000 years. It was written 2,000 years ago, but it is written for right now. And our Revelation commentary just come out, Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. The DVDs plus the book, nothing like it ever produced, ever. Animated scenes, beautiful illustrations in the hardback, high quality book, all of that. Now that's the ultimate Christmas gift. If you're interested, whatever you're interested in, give us a call, 800 Endtime. Our operators will answer all of your questions that you have about that, and you would also be a great blessing to Endtime Ministries. One last thing before we come to the phones. You know that the end of the year is a special time for giving. Please remember Endtime Ministries in your giving. We want to be able to stay on the air. We want to be able to fulfill the ministry of this Endtime Ministries, and your gifts at this time of the year are a huge help to us. And let me remind you, this has been a banner year for stocks and bonds. Well, if you've gained a lot of money in stocks and you'd like to make a significant gift, you can donate those stocks directly to Endtime Ministries, and you will get the credit, the receipt for the total value of the stock. Perhaps you paid $10,000 for it a year ago. It's gone up to $20,000. You will get a receipt for donating $20,000 to Endtime Ministries, and you will pay zero capital gains tax, no taxes, and yet maybe you're right on the edge in your tax for 2019. This will pull you down and yet won't hurt you at all. Actually, it will add to your ability to reduce your income just enough. So if you're interested in doing that, you can call us here at Endtime. Ask to speak to Jana. She knows how all that works. And some people have already done that this year. And I know it will be a great blessing to some of you out there, while at the same time being a tremendous blessing to Endtime Ministries. We got the biggest prophetic year coming up at us we've ever had. 2020 is going to be explosive. And so consequently, all of your gifts at this particular time will help us to do God's work. Let's get right to the phones. Let's go now to Louisiana, and Rick is calling from Louisiana. Hello, Rick.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Rick, are you with me out there? Okay, I'm not.
I'm here. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Rick, what's on your mind?
I wanted to call. I had been a ESL teacher, English as a second language, in China, and I haven't been back into the States that long. And I wanted to mention over in China, even the street vendors have the QR code, scan code. And all you have to do is walk up to the street vendor and scan it with your phone in order to pay them for any goods that you purchase from them on the street. It's virtually cashless in China at the moment.
So what you're saying is that China's ahead of the United States as far as implementing the cashless society.
I would say 3 or 4 years ahead at least.
And we're moving faster than I like to think, frankly, Rick, but I had heard that in some places where the cashless society is far advanced, that the street vendors, like you say, they don't even have to have money. You just use your phones and you can buy their magazines, their newspapers, or whatever else they are selling. So that just backs up what we've been saying on today's program.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I wanted to make a comment or ask a question about the mark of the beast in Revelation in 15 through 18, where it talks about the number of his name or the number of a man. And it said, with wisdom, you'll know or be able to figure out what this code means. Is there any idea at all what the number of his name may mean?
Well, somehow you're going to be able to calculate. The Bible says, let him that hath wisdom calculate the number of the beast, for it's the number of the name of a man. Now, I do not have the answer to that today because we don't yet know who the Antichrist is. But once the Antichrist comes along, then the number of his name will probably become evident to us. Let me show you how it could work. In the crown of the Pope, there is a name, Vicarius Filii Dei. It is Latin for Vicar of the Son of God. That's what it stands for. If you take all of the letters in that title that have Roman numeral value and add them all together, believe it or not, it totals to 666. Now, there's only one thing you have to watch, and that is in the word vicarius, spelled Vicarius. The U there is inscribed like a V. So you have to let that U, which is inscribed like a V, equal 5 in order for it to equal the total name to equal 666. Now, that's too close for comfort for me. However, I do not believe the Pope is going to be the Antichrist. I do believe whoever's Pope at the time of the Antichrist, he will be the false prophet. Nevertheless, it appears that the name of the beast, now let's just say that the kingdom of the Antichrist would be the United States of Europe. Many people call the European Union the United States of Europe. United has 6 letters, States has 6 letters, and Europe has 6 letters. I'm not saying that is at all the name of the beast. I do believe that the European Union is going to be the power base of the Antichrist. So if you counted United States of Europe, that would be 666. Again, I don't think that's the answer. I don't know the answer today, but that's just an idea of how it could work.
Well, did you see where they found a part of a scroll that said maybe it was 616?
Yeah, I have heard that as well, and I studied that back out a few years ago. I do not remember the reason that I felt like that was incorrect. I'm going to have to refresh my mind as to my research on that, but I did see that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We got one segment left, so stay right there with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Does the book of Revelation frighten you? Do its symbols confuse you? For centuries, the book of Revelation has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. In Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ, Volume 1, Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. This 10-part definitive DVD series and 268-page comprehensive commentary book covers the first 12 chapters of the book of Revelation, featuring on-location photography, classic artwork, and symbolic illustrations. You'll walk away with complete understanding and peace about the events happening during the final years on Earth. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding as you dig into the original intent of the book, answering the mysterious prophecies and symbols of the book of Revelation. Don't miss this special offer. Call now, 1-800-END-TIME, or go to endtime.com to order. Call or go online now to get this comprehensive Bible study.
Well, 4 o'clock is the deadline. We're 15 minutes away from that right now. It appears that Israel is going to the 3rd set of elections in the last year. The first one was April the 9th. The second one was September the 17th. This next one is scheduled for March the 2nd. So there will be unprecedented 3 elections within a 1-year period. I don't know what's going to happen unless there's some kind of a special, stunning announcement in the next 15 minutes that Israel is going to elections, unless there's some backroom negotiations going on or some kind of a last-minute deal to announce Israel is going to a new set of elections, which will mean Prime Minister Netanyahu will continue to be the prime minister up until the next elections and up until a new government is put in. Now, why they think they're going to get an election this time around, we don't know, unless the trial is held for Prime Minister Netanyahu. If he would be declared innocent, then that would probably boost his ability to get votes, and he may go back in with a large majority. If he is guilty, he probably will be, well, he would definitely be ousted as the leader of the Likud party. Someone else would be sworn in to lead the Likud party, and that means that Netanyahu would be out of the political picture. We simply do not know at this stage what's going to happen. I was hoping I would have some late-breaking news for you. However, it's just not to be at this time. Don't forget, though, President Donald Trump is in the wings with his deal of the century in his hand. He's ready to put it on the table. I don't know whether they'll wait till March now or not. I simply do not know. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see what God is going to do, because God's in the middle of the whole thing. Don't you doubt it. Right back to the phones now. Let's go to Alabama. Leona is calling from Alabama. Hello, Leona.
Hello, Brother Baxter. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you so much.
I have probably been listening to you for probably about 30 years now. I'm 80 years old, and I have your old cassette tapes, and I also just ordered your Understanding the End Times. So I have two questions for you.
All right.
One is, what are the 1/3 of the people going to die? Will it be like in the World War III, or will it be in the Battle of Armageddon?
Yeah,
the other question is, and I'll let you go so I can hear you, is in Zechariah 8:22, it says, "Many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before the Lord." Now, is that after the Battle of Armageddon, that these nations, they still have strong nations, and that they will come and, worship the Lord in Jerusalem?
Yes, that is after the Battle of Armageddon. That will be during the millennium.
Okay.
Now, as far as your other question goes, Leona, the 1/3 of man dying happens under the Sixth Trumpet War, which is also referred to as World War III. But that's when 1/3 of mankind will die. That is not the Battle of Armageddon. The Battle of Armageddon will happen at least 3.5 years after that, if not longer.
Okay. That sounds good to me, but I'm going to enjoy your Understanding the End Times. I just got it last week, so I've only got to one of them so far, but seems like I would have known a lot by now. But I thank you so much for your ministry.
Okay, well, thank you, Leona. We appreciate the phone call.
All right, bye.
Let's go now to Eileen calling from Alaska. Hello, Eileen. Eileen, are you with me?
Hi.
Am I pronouncing your name right?
My name's Alan.
Alan, so sorry. Alan, what's on your mind?
Well, a couple of years ago, I saw you on Praise the Lord with a number of other Bible scholars and teachers.
Yes.
And it appeared that End Time and Prophecy in the News were the only organizations that believed in a post-trib. Is that correct?
I am post-trib. I do not remember exactly what Prophecy in the News said at the time, but I am definitely post-trib.
Oh, okay. So when did you decide to go post-trib and begin teaching that truth?
I must have been about 18 years of age, which was a couple of years ago, Alan. Matter of fact, it was a long time ago, probably 50 years ago. But I was 18 years of age at the time. That's when I began to study for myself. And I got in Matthew 24, and I got to verse 29. And it said there, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars will fall from heaven. Then shall appear the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. He will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet to gather his elect. I went to my father. I said, Dad, it says right here, immediately after the tribulation. Why do we teach before the tribulation? He said, well, they tell me the elect is the Jews. And that's not the church. The church is already gone. So, having the inquiring mind that I do have, I went to my Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. I looked up the word elect, and I found it 13 times in the New Testament. Once it was referring to Jesus, once it was referring to angels. The other 11 times it was referring to the church. I went back to my father. I said, Dad, it's the church. Look at this. He said, son, I don't know. Well, then finally, before I really switched, I was reading in Revelation chapter 20, verse 4 through 6. And there it said, I saw those that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. They did not worship the beast. They did not take his mark. These lived and reigned 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. I looked at that. I was stunned. I said, wait. If the people that didn't take the mark, that would not worship the beast, if when they're resurrected, that's the first resurrection, that means there was not a resurrection 7 years before that. Right then, I knew I was wrong. I was forced to change my mind. So that's the way it happened with me.
That is very, very interesting. Brother Baxter, before I go, let me ask you, we all, as born-again children of God, have the same Holy Spirit. How is it possible that Hal Lindsey and other Bible scholars disagree with the end-time doctrine of the end of the age?
Here's the reason why, Alan. It's called tradition. When you have been taught something all your life and then you start teaching it, once you get committed to something, it's very difficult to back up and say, wait a minute, I was wrong, and change your mind and rewrite all your books and all that. So tradition is what causes that to happen. I was young enough that I did not have a vested interest. I just started off with a desire for the truth. And once I saw the truth, then I saw so many proofs for it that it became undeniable to me. And that's the reason that I had to change my position.
Thank you, Brother Baxter. I love you.
Well, thank you very much. And oh, by the way, my mother warned me severely when I began to talk to them about changing my position. She said, Irvin Jr., no one will have you preach for them. You're just going to ruin your entire ministry. Well, later on, 50 years later, she called me aside. She said, you're traveling too much. You're preaching too many places. You better take care of yourself. I said, okay, Mother, which is it? Am I traveling too much, or am I going to have no place to preach at all? She had the sweetest little smile on her face. She walked away. She knew I was a hopeless cause. Anyway, that's just a little side story. All right, let's get right back to the phones. Edward is calling from Connecticut. Hello, Edward.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Baxter? I just want to thank you for, the ministry. It's really been listening the last 2 years, and I changed my position from pre to post. And just get right into it, being that we're running out of time here, and I don't want to take up. I want to give you enough time. So my question is for is about the harlot. It's funny that last caller was asking about changing positions. I respect, like I said, I really am following you. I'll continue to follow you. But I think that, let me just ask, have you ever considered Mecca for being the harlot? Because I don't see Rome as being the economic power described in Revelation.
Well, because we are close to running out of time, Edward, let me reply to you. There are 6 specific clues in Revelation 17. And if you have a pen, you might want to just jot them down. Number 1, it says that the harlot is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. That's verse number 18 of chapter 17. Now, Rome the Holy Roman Empire dominated Europe for 1,000 years and is re-emerging right now. Number 2, it says in verse number 3 that the beast on which the woman rode had 7 heads. And verse 9 says the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the city sitteth. There is a city on this earth whose official title is the city of 7 hills. That city is Rome. And then in verse number 1, it says the woman sat upon many waters. Verse 15 says the waters where the harlot sat are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this is a city which also presides over peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And of course, the Roman Catholic Church has representatives in almost every single city and village on the earth. Then number 4, in verse number 4, it says that the woman was arrayed in red and purple. There are 2 ruling bodies of the Roman Church. The cardinals wear red, bishops and archbishops wear purple. The cardinals are called the College of Cardinals. The bishops are called the College of Bishops. Those are the 2 ruling bodies. It's almost like the Senate and the House of Representatives. Cardinals wear red, bishops wear purple. And then finally it says in verse number 6 that the woman was drunken with the blood of the saints. If you study your history of the Middle Ages, the Roman Catholic Church slaughtered millions of Protestants that had left the Roman Catholic Church. And then finally, verse number 5, it says on her forehead was a name written, Mother of Harlots. So she's not only a harlot herself, but she has daughters. And when the Protestants broke off of the Roman Catholic Church back in the 16th century, that's when the Roman Church said, we cannot deny that you have committed many grievous errors, but this is one thing we will say, you are still our daughters. And to this day, the Roman Catholic Church calls the Protestants her daughters. All 6 of those clues are fulfilled by Rome down to the most minute detail. So that's the reason I believe that Rome is the great harlot of Revelation 17.
Thank you, Brother Baxter. I've heard those points, and the only reason why the only issue I have, because when it goes on to say that when it goes up in flames, the merchants of the world, and it lists a whole bunch of industries, and I just don't see how the economic part of the destruction of Rome is just not an economic.
Let me answer you real quick, Edward. When the Treaty of Rome was signed, which formed the common market back in 1957, it was called the Treaty of Rome. It was signed in Rome, and that became what is today the European Union, which is the strongest trade bloc in the world as of 2007. So that answers the economic side. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.